The concept of karma is very in-depth, tedious, cryptic in fact. Shastra says Gehna Karmanogati. Shastras also say that like a calf can find his mother cow in a herd of cows, in the same manner, karma can also find its doer and give results. Now, there is some karma we have done in past life that is represented in our horoscope. That is there. But what now? What we can do now? This is exactly the point which Krishna deals in Bhagavad Gita. He particularly says that, the meaning of it is that whatever have happened in past, we cannot do anything about it. But what we are doing right now and what we will do in future, that we can control. So if we do sattvic karmas, if we do good karmas, what will happen? That the bad karmas will diminish. The suffering of the bad karma, it will lose its intensity, and the duration of the suffering of the bad karma will also decline. Good karma will increase, the intensity of happiness from good karma will increase, and it will last long also. But humans are puppets in the hand of destiny, and there are some combinations in horoscope which indicate that one will be engaged in bad karmas. Now, what if we have the combination? We should be very, very careful. We should be careful with respect to not doing bad karmas. And the particular thing with respect to karma is that karma is also closely related to Maya. And Maya or illusion, when it takes over our mind, we are not able to understand what is righteous, what is not, what is correct, what is incorrect. So careful understanding of the karma is very, very essential, is very, very necessary. Particularly the combination that I am going to deal. See, sometimes what happen, people have good combinations in horoscope. And because they have good karmic combinations in horoscope, they generally do not face situations where they commit bad karmas. Things are good. Whereas sometimes what you will say, there is a saying, right? Like havan karte hue haath jalta hai type. Where when there are bad combinations in the horoscope, more or less, person will often get into situations where there is very great likelihood of committing bad karmas. And in such situations, one should be careful. One such combination is malefics in the fifth house, particularly Rahu in the fifth house. See, malefics aspecting the fifth house, malefics influencing the fifth house by aspect is considered good, is considered okay. This is also a great combination for astrology. Why it is a great combination for astrology? Not only for astrology, for any good science, such as chemistry, astrology, engineering, etc. Malefics influencing the fifth house is very good. Why? Because malefics particularly indicate the tendency to go deep. Malefics particularly indicate the tendency of learning the root reason. So when there are malefics influencing the fifth house or there are malefics in the trine, it gives a tendency to person where the person want to know about a lot of things, how karma work, why there is inequality in society, and all of these things person want to learn. So when there are malefics influencing the Kendra trines, 159 houses, one goes into good science, good streams of learning such as science, chemistry, mathematics, astrology, economy, etc. etc. But this I am talking about. This result is given by all type of malefics, but the malefics can be broadly categorized into two categories: beneficial malefics and bad malefics. Malefics which are situated in own Rashi, Mool, Tirkon, Varkottam, etc. are good malefics. They are situated in trines. One have this particular good tendency of going deep behind things. They are influencing the trines. Person have good tendency of going deep behind things, but it does not have any bad karmic implication as such. But on the other hand, when the malefics are influencing the trines and particularly the fifth house, because fifth house is the house of intelligence, vidya, and how our mind works. So when malefics influence the fifth house and this malefic is not in a very good situation, in that particular scenario, there can be great problems. There can be great problems, where one can commit a lot of mistakes also. So let's come to each and every malefic one by one. Sun particularly connected to fifth house is not a big problem as such because Sun is a Sattvic planet. It gives problem related to childbirth, but apart from that, it is not very problematic. So Sun is okay. When Moon is very malefic, that is very close to Sun, Moon in second house to Sun, third house to Sun, 12th house to Sun, 11th house to Sun. When it is situated in the fifth house, it is also not very problematic because Moon is also Sattvic planet. But certainly this gives fluctuating mental tendencies to the native. And because of this fluctuation, because of this frustration, one can commit bad karmas also. Such people should be aware of their frustration because you see, these people, when they become frustrated, they start behaving in a strange way. They are not the same person that they normally are. And then they can commit bad karmas. But Moon is a mild malefic. Mercury will become a malefic only when it is situated with malefics, right? So in other malefics, it will be covered. Comes the planet Mars. Mars connected to fifth house is problematic, but you see, Mars, though it is not a Sattvic planet, it is a Sattva planet. So it follows rules and regulations. It follows dharma. But Mars also indicates aggression. So when Mars is connected to fifth house, a person because of aggression, with the tendency of taking revenge, with the tendency of teaching lesson, can commit bad karmas. And this bad karma can be related to theft also because Mars indicates a thief. So when Mars is connected to fifth house, situated in the fifth house, aspecting the fifth house, particularly Mars situated in the second house, Mars situated in the 11th house, and Mars is situated in the 10th house. From these three situations, Mars will be aspecting the fifth house, and Mars is known as a thief. In such conditions, one may have a tendency of stealing things from others, right? Having things without the permission of others. When it is related to things, it is as it is. Sometimes it is related to knowledge also, where the person takes knowledge from someone else and present it as their own knowledge. Now, what happens in all of these scenarios? You see, when the malefics are influencing the particular house because the planets are influencing. And horoscope does not only indicate prediction, horoscope also indicates the tendency of the native, right? Astrology does a lot of things. So when this particular combination is there, what we see as a mistake, what we see as a sin, this person see it as normal. There is a particular saying, you see, in a previous video, we discussed about the concept of dan, the concept of donation. There we discussed about Sattvic dan, Rajasic dan, and Tamasic dan, if you remember. In that particular scenario, there was a particular saying that a donation which is given without considering Des, Kal, and Patra is considered a Tamasic dan, right? Adesha Kale yad danam patrebhyam siddhiyate asatkritam avagyatam tat samahatam, right? Donation which is given without considering time, place, or fitness of a person, donation which is given in an unhonored way, or donation which is given without proper owner is a tamasic donation. Now, with respect to this tamasic donation, there was a particular point. See, donation is a good karma. So, how does donation become tamasic? See, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also particularly tells Arjun that Arjun, you have to follow the Shastras. Whatever is told in Shastras as karma, as dharma, that needs to be followed. Because if one does not follow the Shastras, they get bad result. But an explanation related to this, right? An explanation related to this was when we were studying, right? Guru told us, right? My Guru told me, ask the class. What happens sometimes people will make, people will make rational comments like, oh, we have to give donation. Why to give donation to the priests? Right? Priest already have tension. Priest will already have a lot of donation. Let's give donation to some beggar. See, giving to beggar is not a donation, right? It's a bhiksha. So bhiksha and dan are two different things, right? Bhiksha is something else. Dan is something else, right? Dan is a remedy. Bhiksha is not. Right? This particular thing is there. Then one will argue what is important to giving donation in a pilgrimage, etc. One can give donation anywhere. At least at the end of the day, it is donation only. Do you think only people living in pilgrimage only need things? Other people at other places do not need things. They also need, right? So, Desh also they will dishonor. Patra, As I told earlier, Patra also they will dishonor. Then there is Kali. Right, so donation should be made at particular times, but one will argue what is particular in giving donation on Amavasya Purnima. One should give donation at any time. When you see the person at that point of time, you should give donation, etc., etc. Such rational thinking one can have. Such rational thinking people have, but this is taken as a tamasic tendency. Krishna have particularly told Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita that follow the Shastras, and here he have particularly told that a donation given without considering date, time, and place, Deshkal Patra, is a tamasic donation. So you see, tamas is characterized by very high level of argument. Right? So there is tark, there is vitark, there is kutark, right? So this tamas is identified by kutark. Right? So such people do a lot of kutark, right? Such people have a lot great tendency of doing these things, right? They will be thinking like, oh, everything is written in Shastras only. So they will copy from someone, they will present it as their own thing, and they will represent it like it is all written by our sages, etc., etc. It is written by our sages. Go find where the sage have written it, find it yourself and tell it yourself. What is the problem? You are stealing from someone and then you are saying that it is all written in Shastras. Go read the Shastras yourself, find it yourself, and then you present it. Then it is not a sin. And the point is, see, as my English class teacher used to say, thousand-eyed God is looking at everything, right? So you may fool 1%, 2%, 3%, or everyone by saying that everything is written in the Shastras, but you, your conscience, your soul, and the God sitting upwards knows that what is the reality and what is not. And let's be very clear about one particular point. When one gets the result of the karma, one do not get the result of the karma with regard to what they have convinced themselves, how they have convinced themselves, or how they have convinced others. It's not the point. If you steal something, particularly knowledge, you say, or something you say, you can convince yourself by saying everything is written in Shastras. You can convince people by saying everything is written in the text, etc. But when the result of the karma will manifest, no one will listen your logic. Right? Because the God, the Atma, the Shastra, the Manas, the Buddhi, the Ahankar, the Chitta knows how it have came to. So particularly what I want to particularly highlight here is then when malefics are influencing the fifth house, such great Kutark person have. And keeping this Kutark in mind, people convince themselves and people convince others to do the things, not realizing that it is a sin. This is the tendency of tamas. Tamas is told as dull headed, tamas is told as low intellect, tamas is told as foolish. This is considered utter foolishness by Shastras. So when malefic is influencing fifth house, it is very, very important to have your behavior according to the Shastras. Because your logical mind, because it is influenced by tamas, malefic planets influence indicate tamas, particularly Mars, Saturn, and Rahu. One can convince themselves by such things. But you see what happens. The thing with respect to malefics is that they give result late in life. So one convinces themselves in the beginning of all of these deeds. They also get good result up to the age of 50, 55. After that, they start suffering. And many a times when I do consultation, such people after the age of 55, they, they are suffering and they tell their problems and they are like, sir, what karmas I have done, etc., etc. When you see the horoscope, you ask them what all you have done, etc., etc. You see what is indicated in the horoscope, you ask them, have you done this? They will say, yes, sir, but what is bad into it? In their understanding, there is nothing bad, but you understand that it is a problem. And there are many people, for example, people doing gambling, etc. They will always convince, sir, it was my day to win, I won, what is bad karma into this? Very good. See, every person who is committing a bad karma eventually is convincing themselves first, right? This is there. But why do we know astrology? Why we have the third eye of astrology? Why astrology is told to be the eye of the Vedas? So that you can see the reality. Right? So one should avoid such karmas, right? Because first of all, malefics influencing any house, result they will produce late in life, particularly ninth house to 12th house also indicate old age. First house to fourth house childhood, fifth house to eighth house middle age, ninth house to 12th house old age. So when there is malefic, particularly Mars, as I told you, right, Mars is a thief. When Mars is influencing the fifth house from the 10th house or 11th house, which is from 9th house to 12th house set, such people in their young age do such many such mistakes, and they can also become successful because of it for some time being. Because see what happens into it. If bad karmas give you bad result right from the beginning, then no one will do the bad karmas, right? So that's why it is called Rajasa Dukh Nivritti. It ends in dukkha, it ends in misery. It does not start in misery, it does not go into misery, it ends in misery. And when it is the time to end, then nothing comes to your rescue, because at the end of the day, it is your karma only. And basic point is that God is very merciful, right? So eventually, when you do the thing and when you keep on doing it, initially for some 10-15 years, no repercussion is there, because God leaves you free to do any karma. But when you don't improve yourself, even after continuous scope, then the bad result comes in. So one have to be very, very careful, right? So Mars we have understood. With respect to Saturn, also more or less the same thing is there. Whereas Mars indicates theft, Saturn indicates dull-headedness, Saturn indicate ignorance, Saturn indicate laziness. So Saturn also have this particular tendency. Person convinces themselves because they are dull-headed enough not to think about the matter in a 360-degree perspective, right? Or not to consider all facets of it. And person also, because the person is lazy, the person is dull-witted, he eventually have to commit bad karmas, right? Rahu also indicates theft, right? So first and foremost, the most basic point why fifth house is so important, because it indicates intelligence. And when we do something in life, we do it according to our intelligence only. So the basic point is, when malefics are influencing the fifth house, reevaluate everything that you are doing and follow shastras, and don't convince yourself. Follow shastras, that is a better way. Otherwise, when bad results come, then because you have committed something, you see, if there is some bad result that is coming from past life, you may do remedy and you can save yourself. But if you have committed the karma in your all consciousness in this life itself, then bad result will come, you cannot save it. Saturn indicates dull-headedness, right? So these are the things related to Saturn, right? But Saturn is more or less related to ignorance also. The story related to Saturn is story related to ignorance. See, there is a very good small story. I do not particularly remember the story, but the thing is, that some person was, the story goes like this: some person was getting some food. It is a story related to sannyasi. Sannyasi was getting some food, and he was consuming that food, not finding out from where the food is coming, etc., etc. Right. One day he suddenly finds out that the food is being given by some person for alleviation of disease. Now, sannyasi should not accept such donations which is given with a kami purpose, right? Sannyasi should only accept those things which is given freely, right? Without any purpose. It's like, you see, a prosperous person is donating something, sannyasi can have it. But a person suffering from disease is donating something to come out of the disease, sannyasi should not accept it. But the problem with this particular sannyasi, what is happening, the sannyasi in the story, is that he is not looking at from whom he is taking. That is called pratigraha, right? The one who is giving you the donation is pratigraha, right? So you have to find out whatever you are taking, from where it is coming, what is the source, how it is coming. This is very important to understand, right? So the thing with respect to Saturn is that because Saturn is lazy, right, and because Saturn is a little bit ignorant, also greatly ignorant, person does not go behind the source, right? The source can be polluted and the person is completely ignorant about it, and they are just enjoying the thing. This becomes problematic with respect to Saturn. So if Saturn is influencing the fifth house, be very, very careful of the root from where it is coming. And once you are very clear regarding that everything is correct, only then proceed with it. Particularly with respect to Rahu, what I have seen Rahu connected to fifth house is also told to give very great success in mantra, tantra, yantra also. But as Gemini have it, trines from Atmakarak, there is malefic, one will be successful in mantra, tantra, yantra. If this malefic is further aspected or conjoined by other malefics, then one will use this success into mantra, tantra, yantra to give pain to others, because of which they will suffer. Their emancipation will also be cancelled, etc. etc. Gemini particularly says this, though it is related to Atmakarak, but this is very correct with respect to the trines from fifth house also, not trines from ascendant completely, fifth house also. So the thing with respect to Rahu is because Rahu is clever, Rahu is intelligent. Particularly when Rahu is connected to fifth house, what I have seen, it gives great success to native right from the beginning. I have seen many people, Rahu is connected to the fifth house, right from the age of 23, 25, person starts becoming successful. These people are powerful and these people also have a lot of authority. But if this person misuses the power and authority, then great diseases, suffering, separation from loved ones, etc. follow. I do not want to elaborate a lot on negative results because the negative results are so negative that you will be very afraid. And when I am saying you will be very afraid, you see, I am very open about telling the bad results, but it is quite very, very problematic, right? Death of spouse, children, etc. Such results are also greatly seen in every horoscope. So with respect to Rahu, Rahu gives quick power, Rahu gives quick success. This is peculiarity with respect to Rahu, but when you misuse it, when you misuse that, or at another point, Rahu makes you clever, Rahu makes you intelligent, but that cleverness, if you use to steal something from someone, mold it in a little bit way and try to present it as your own thing, or if you use your cleverness to deceive someone, if you use your cleverness to cheat someone, then what will happen? This Rahu, as malefics do, right? Why malefics are malefic? Malefics are malefic because they indicate bad things. And graha is what? Graha comes from the word grahan. Grahan means catching. So when malefic is influencing the fifth house, that is your head, they take over your head. So when you do these things, it gives you quick power, it makes you intelligent. But when you use this intelligence to deceive someone or present something in some other way, then what happens? Malefic have taken over your mind, and after capturing your mind, it have made you do the bad karmas. Who will suffer? You will suffer. So the basic point is, when malefics are influencing the fifth house, be very careful of karmas you are committing, because it is very likely that the planet will make you commit bad karmas, and when you will suffer at that time, no remedy will come. So prevention is always better than cure. People always ask me remedy related to diseases, etc. or anything. Let me tell you one very simple point. Once something have happened, astrology have no reversal. Right? So if someone is having bad marriage combination, they should do good matchmaking, they should marry on a good murta. If you are already married, what you can do? Now any remedy will not be 100%. Any remedy will give you temporary relief, some percentage of relief only. Complete relief is done before the results start fructifying, particularly with respect to these things, particularly with respect to disease, particularly with respect to these negative planets. Identified earlier, don't commit the karma, because once the result starts, you cannot stop it.